The Young and the Restless spoilers, Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. Daniel had always been a fighter, someone who refused to accept defeat even when the odds were overwhelmingly stacked against him. His recent arrest had been a devastating blow, not just to him but to everyone who believed in his innocence. As the days turned into weeks, Daniel's resolve only hardened. He meticulously crafted a flawless escape plan, a testament to his unwavering determination to clear his name. He knew that with concrete evidence proving his innocence, he could walk out of prison and reclaim his life. But the reality was far more sinister. Daniel was ensnared in a web of deceit spun by Sharon Newman, a woman whose manipulative prowess had few equals. Sharon's machinations were intricate and far-reaching. No one wanted to be imprisoned for a crime they didn't commit, yet Daniel found himself trapped in this nightmare. The evidence against him was mounting, each piece seemingly irrefutable. Phyllis Summers, ever the vigilant ally, rallied her resources to support Daniel. Alongside her, Christine Blair, the astute lawyer, delved into the case, searching for any discrepancies or overlooked details that could exonerate him. However, the deeper they dug, the more apparent it became that Sharon was not acting alone. Subtle hints and whispered rumors suggested that Sharon had powerful allies within the Genoa city power structure, people who were equally determined to see Daniel silenced. As Daniel languished in his cell, he remained defiant. Every sleepless night was spent refining his escape strategy, knowing that the right moment would present itself. He had faith in his ability to outsmart his captors, to slip through the cracks of their flawed system. The thought of walking free, vindicated and unburdened by false accusations, kept him going. But time was running out, and the pressure was intensifying. Sharon's influence seemed to seep into every aspect of his case, making it increasingly difficult for his supporters to find a foothold. Meanwhile, back at Jabot Cosmetics, the fallout from Victor Newman's latest moves was taking its toll on Jack Abbott. Victor, ever the strategist, had successfully maneuvered Diane Jenkins into the role of CEO at Glassade, effectively sidelining Kyle Abbott. Jack watched helplessly as his empire began to crumble, his once unshakable authority now undermined by internal strife and external pressures. His authoritarian demeanor, which had once been a source of strength, was now a liability. Jack had pushed too hard, alienating those who might have supported him in his time of need. Jack desperately needed the support of Tracy Abbott and Ashley Abbott, but his abrasive nature had driven them away. Tracy, deeply in love with Alan, was blissfully unaware of the impending betrayal that would soon shatter her world. Her relationship with Alan had always been a fragile one, and Jack's interference only complicated matters further. She was completely engrossed in her love for Alan, unaware of the dark undercurrents swirling around her, waiting to pull her into the chaos that seemed to engulf Genoa City. Jack's inability to reconcile with his family had left him isolated. He had wanted nothing more than to bring Kyle back into his fold, to restore the Abbott legacy to its former glory. But Kyle, having tasted the bitterness of Victor's manipulation, was hesitant to return. The trust had been eroded, and Jack couldn't bridge the chasm that had formed between them. Victor's influence was suffocating, and Jack felt powerless against the tide of his rival's schemes. As Jack struggled to keep his business afloat, he couldn't help but blame himself for the unraveling of his family and his empire. His stubbornness had cost him dearly, and now he was left with nothing but regret and a crumbling business. Victor Newman watched Jack's downfall with a mix of satisfaction and anticipation. Victor thrived on control and manipulation, and seeing Jack lose everything only fueled his ambitions. He had orchestrated the appointment of Diane as CEO with surgical precision, knowing that her presence would create the perfect storm for the Abbott family. Diane, fueled by her desire for revenge against Jack and Kyle, was already in motion. She leveraged her intimate knowledge of Jabot's inner workings and Jack's vulnerabilities to systematically dismantle the company from within. Victor, ever the puppet master, remained in the shadows, letting Diane and the Abbott siblings do his bidding while he prepared his next move, bringing Jabot to its knees and ensuring its eventual bankruptcy. As Jack grappled with the collapse of his business and his fractured family, the situation for Daniel only grew more dire. The evidence against him was damning, and Sharon's influence seemed impenetrable. Phyllis and Christine worked tirelessly, but every lead they followed seemed to hit a dead end. In the midst of this turmoil, Jill Abbott was facing her own battles. Having recently ousted Lily Winters from the family and business due to her betrayal, Jill was determined to see her former ally brought to her knees. Lily's reputation was in tatters, and Jill's resolve to punish her was unwavering. The tension between them had become a focal point in Genoa City, drawing in allies and adversaries alike. Jill's support for her son Billy, who had been a staunch advocate against Lily, only strengthened her position. She believed in Billy's loyalty and saw him as the cornerstone of her efforts to restore stability to the Abbott legacy. But the challenges didn't end there. Jill's determination to protect her family and business had made her a formidable opponent, not just to Lily but to anyone who threatened her vision of loyalty and integrity. As she navigated the treacherous waters of family politics and corporate power struggles, Jill found herself battling not only external threats but also the remnants of her own strained relationships. Her relationship with Billy was a source of both strength and vulnerability, as she leaned on him for support while grappling with the fallout of her decisions. Amidst all this, the specter of Victor Newman's influence loomed large. His strategic genius and ruthless tactics had set the stage for a dramatic power shift in Genoa City. By aligning with Diane, Victor had effectively pitted Diane against Jack and Kyle, ensuring that the Abbott family was too consumed by internal conflict to mount a cohesive defense. Victor's ability to stay several steps ahead of his adversaries made him a nearly insurmountable foe. His satisfaction at witnessing Jack's suffering was palpable, and he was meticulously planning the final blow that would secure his dominance over Jabot Cosmetics. Daniel's escape plan remained in the works, a beacon of hope in an increasingly bleak situation. He knew that if he could just hold on long enough, if the right evidence came to light, he could prove his innocence and turn the tables on Sharon. But Sharon was a formidable opponent, one who would stop at nothing to protect her interests and maintain her grip on power. The battle for Daniel's freedom was not just a fight against wrongful imprisonment, it was a war against Sharon's pervasive influence and the corruption that tainted Genoa City's elite. As the months passed, the alliances and rivalries within Genoa City grew more complex. Phyllis, Christine, and Paul formed a clandestine alliance, determined to uncover the truth behind Daniel's arrest and expose Sharon's nefarious schemes. Their efforts were relentless, but Sharon's network was extensive, making it difficult to gather concrete evidence. Meanwhile, Victor continued to manipulate events from behind the scenes, his eyes always fixed on the ultimate prize, complete control over Jabot Cosmetics and the Abbott family legacy. Jack, now reeling from his losses, struggled to find a path forward. His pride and stubbornness had isolated him from those who might have helped, leaving him to face the onslaught of Victor and Diane alone. The once mighty Jack Abbott was now a shadow of his former self, his empire crumbling as he grappled with the consequences of his own actions. The absence of Tracy and Ashley's support only compounded his difficulties, making it clear that his downfall was as much self-inflicted as it was orchestrated by Victor. Tracy Abbott, deeply in love with Alan, was blissfully unaware of the brewing storm that threatened to engulf her family. Her focus on her relationship kept her insulated from the chaos, but the impending betrayal was inevitable. Alan, too, was caught in the crossfire, his loyalty and love for Tracy making him a target in the larger power struggle. The fragile peace within the Abbott family was on the brink of shattering, and the consequences would be far-reaching. In the end, Genoa City was a battleground of ambition, betrayal, and relentless pursuit of power. Daniel's fight for freedom, Jack's battle to save his legacy, and Jill's quest for justice against Lily were all intertwined in a complex web of relationships and rivalries. Victor Newman stood at the center of it all, his strategic brilliance and ruthless ambition driving the conflict forward. As the city watched and waited, the inevitable clashes between these formidable characters promised to reshape the landscape of Genoa City forever. The stage was set for a dramatic showdown, where alliances would be tested, secrets would be revealed, and the true nature of each character would come to light. Daniel's escape plan, Jack's desperate attempts to salvage his empire, and Jill's unyielding stance against Lily were all pieces of a larger puzzle, each move bringing them closer to a resolution that would define their futures.